Hi, I'm Rachel Salzberg, a mindset and leadership coach and founder of the movement and podcast series, The Rachel Revolution. I believe that every person has the potential to create a story of transformation about their life that's so great it serves as an inspiration and model to our families, our communities, and our organizations. This podcast series serves as a platform for people to have a voice, and it serves as an inspiration for you to write your story. It's my mission through this podcast series to help people to realize their potential by resouling and connecting with themselves, and then resurging with confidence and empowered to share their gifts and purpose with the world. Please join the movement by listening to the Rachel Revolution.
Hi, everyone. I am thrilled to have a dear person to me, Rachel Nussbaum, someone who I've known for the past 5 years. I've also worked with, and I would love for Rachel to share her story and what the Rachel Revolution means to her. So Rachel, I'm going to hand it over to you. Tell me about you.
Hi, Rachel. It's really nice to be invited to the Rachel Revolution series. I'm a huge fan of yours. You know that. And I mean, when you first told me about this Rachel Revolution, it just made a perfect sense, right? Like, I mean, that's really what has happened to me. As when I first reached out to you, I was really stuck. I felt like I was stuck at my workplace. I felt like I had no career path. I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I just couldn't get to other people. Like, my intention was this, but then other people's interpretation of my intention was something different. So I really was stuck, and I didn't really know how to get out of that. And that's how I reached out to you. And I mean, the whole process really was a resoul to me. And then my perspective changed, my mindset changed. I mean, the way I approach things and everything. It was not an easy step. It was a long-term process for me because I have a thick head. I just had to get things it took me a while to process things, but in the end, that process, me and you working together was really a pivotal point in my life and in my career to become and where I am and know confidently who I am and why I'm doing this.
That is so special, and thank you for sharing that. But I also, you did the work, right? You did the work, and I also believe that when someone's ready to shift, when someone's ready to change, when someone's ready to say, I am done with this way of being, and to resurge, that takes every facet of your soul and courage to be able to do that. So I commend you for going through the work. And so I would love to hear, because I've known you from before and I know you after, and it's just fascinating to see kind of you on your journey. And to, when I first met you, there, as you described, there was kind of this feeling of stuck, of feeling kind of doing things because you thought you should. You had an energy about you, your quote vibe was very melancholy in some ways. And when I say melancholy, you weren't you. I could sense there was something so much more, so much deeper to you. And then here you are now, blossomed and vibrant and happy and present and confident in who you are. So what would you say were kind of the biggest things that were shifters for you in terms of the process of resouling and resurging for you?
So I think one of the biggest change, what I can start the change process, the belief system. I did not know the type of belief system that I had about myself. I was always kind of running on kind of level of anxiety and fear because I always felt like I had to prove myself. Mm-hmm. I always felt like people are out to like get me or challenge me, like I'm not good enough. So I always have to like be the show people that I can do this. And that kind of, because I think I was acting based out of fear. So that kind of got me the cycle of constantly trying to prove and functioning out of fear and anxiety. That's what was happening.
Yeah. And so and I know for myself, when you function out of fear and anxiety, it infects, not only your performance, how you interact with people, your clarity in terms of, creative ideas, right? And so what I saw of you was exactly that, but to create that awareness, those belief systems, to say, why? So how did you shift those belief systems? How did you go from everybody's out to get me and or whatever to be able to kind of realize that that wasn't the case? What did you do?
Yes, good question. Because I had to write down the mantra. Like, really, literally, I had to put it up. I am relaxed and collaborative and leverage compliment. I just had to write down my mantra and stick it up on my laptop to remind myself that I'm relaxed and collaborative. I am, some of the things that I really have to do that and it was a long-term process too. And every time I felt the anxiety coming up, I really had to stop and pause. I stopped and paused and thought about one word that would help me get through that. And funny enough, I just had to tell myself I am relaxed and I'm collaborative and I like working with other people. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you were doing is building a new muscle. You were it's the whole neuroscience of the brain. You were kind of triggering yourself into a new belief system. And by the repetitiveness, it really shifted. And I saw that visualization and that kind of relaxed feeling, this idea that we've talked about in the past, kind of body, emotion, and language, that language piece that shifted. You didn't have to be on guard. You didn't have to, and it just relaxed you in terms of your presence and your vibe. And you practiced and practiced, and that was amazing to watch and to see and to really embrace the process. That was amazing. But it was also how you wanted to do your work and what you valued. So what for you did you realize, in your last situation, highly successful in production studios at Microsoft, what was missing for you in that scenario and what's different for you now?
I think what was missing for me is my purpose, right? At the time, I was kind of looking at the situations, then probably blamed a little bit on other people and other situations. There's a lot of things that I couldn't control. There's some things that were there I just couldn't control how other people were acting. It was how I would interact, my reaction to that. And I was kind of looking, I think I was I had to go beyond the situation I was in, that I felt like I was stuck at my place. I didn't have any career path. I didn't have anything. None of that really mattered right now looking back, but I felt like that I just didn't have the value system in me yet.
And so how did you articulate your values? Like when with that, as you just described, when you say I didn't have the value system, so what was the process for you in terms of realizing, oh my gosh, these are my core values? And what did that indicate to you? What answers did that provide?
So then we did the exercises, right? We did the value exercises. There's a lot of adjectives and some of the words or some of the things that are in the workplace. I think we did the exercises. What would be the best workplace? So I wrote down the list of the best workplace, that my ideal work situation, and also I create a value system of my personal values, because I have a family. I have 2 little boys. And then I just didn't know how to balance my work life and personal life. It felt like a 2 different world, and I just was kind of stuck in the middle, didn't know how to deal with these 2 different world. I didn't know how I can have it all, how I can manage this. And then really what helped me to create the value system was I sat down, wrote down the ideal workplace. What would be some of the values? So I was kind of reviewing our notes to prepare this interview. And I wrote down autonomy, work-life balance, creativity, financial freedom. I don't know. There's certain, like, it's kind of mix of work and personal, that I realized what the issues that I had at work, the issues that I thought I had at work, really wasn't the issues. There was something deeper,
Right.
that I had to go through that.
Yeah. And it's amazing when we realize when we're not honoring our own values, right? That we start to feel disengaged, resentful, frustrated. We become victim. We tend to blame, right? We're not really sure. And once we realize, like, wow, I'm not honoring myself. And even what is it that I honor in my life, and as you kind of described the whole work, it's the whole picture. It's like, how did you want to live your life to incorporate your family, to incorporate how you wanted to do your work, right? And once you identified that, how did you find, what did that do for you in terms of your own confidence to take a different action?
That's a really good question. And, I've told this to some of the other speaking, like, opportunities that I had, that I was able to speak to some of the younger female generations, and then, like, how do you have work-life balance, and how do you go through some of the difficult situations that's at work, is that, I mean, I'm going to go back a little bit, where I remember writing down the answer, what is the best moment of your work on your work day? And my answer was, the highlight of my day is when I go and pick up my son from preschool. I mean, like, really, that has nothing to do with work.
Yeah.
The highlight of my day was nothing to do with how much satisfied customer I had, how much awesome work I've produced. It was nothing like that. It was like, the moment that I cherished most was to have my moment with my child. So that was an eye-opening for me, because I've always been career-driven. I thought I always have to, like, where is my next step? Where do I need to go? So then I forgot the present.
Yeah.
Right? I forgot how to enjoy. I forgot how to be in the moment. And I think that's the first time while working with you that I was discovering what it means to be in the moment.
I love it. And it's in that present moment where you just described that cherished moments of joy, passion, love, all of that. And to remember, and I know for myself, it was the same thing. It was like, wait a second, I can feel that and have a career. And it puts life into perspective, especially during this time of, the pandemic and COVID. It's like, but we don't have to wait for a pandemic or life of uncertainty, because life is always uncertain. It's how to honor yourself in the moment. And so it's really amazing to have that when you remember those moments, as you said, picking your son up from preschool, to recognize and remember what's truly important to you, how to honor that. And so from there, like, what were the decisions that you made with that kind of moment of aha for you in terms of how you shifted your career?
Yes. So with that aha moment, I wrote down my value list. What is the top priority? So I think there was about 10 lists of that. And then I compared my value with my current work situation. And I could see clearly that that was not aligning. Oh, okay. So, and then I also tried things that I could maybe, by changing my mindset, by, like, trying to work with the situation that I was in. I was trying to maybe have this change the situation, but I realized, oh, okay, I need to take a pause on this, because it's misaligned. Like, my value in my workplace was misaligned. So I decided to leave my job, really.
Wow.
Because that was, it's so scary to leave a perfectly fine job and has so much meaning in my career, but also knew that for me to really be true to myself and really align the value that I've identified as what gives me meaning, then when I realize clearly this is not the place that I need to stay in, I didn't have any other job lined up. I just decided, okay, I need to stop and pause. And even if it takes another 3 to 6 months, I think I'm willing to give that time to myself and figure it out, and then take my next step on the right foot.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's almost like you're jumping. It feels like you're jumping off a cliff, right? But when you're clear on your values, and you somehow find that courage, right? And I really believe that success comes naturally when you're honoring yourself and your values, and taking that time to pause and reflect, because oftentimes we're going, doing, and especially during, I think, this time of pandemic as an example, for people, a forced situation for people to slow down and have that time of pause. And what is it that you really care about in this life? And so from there, what did you create after that time of pause? What did you create?
After the time of pause, I created my own company, my own video production company called Specular. It took me about a year. I think I paused for about a year and a half, 2 years. During that time, I had another second baby too. So that was kind of natural way of kind of pausing and, kind of shift my focus and retool, right? That was my process of researching. Mm-hmm. And I had to pause to research. So that was my kind of resoul time while taking care of my second baby. I really thought about what is the most important. And I remember, you probably remember too, when we are talking, I always want to talk about what is my 5-year career goal, what is my 10-year career goal. And then I always had, starting my own company was always on the list. And I was talking to you, and also talking to my friend, and you and my friend both told me, well, if you want to have a company in 10 years, you probably have to start somewhere. And then I think that was kind of light bulb moment, like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do it, start it and see what happens. And I think that was really one of the pivotal moment, and the assurance that I felt when I decided to do that, be on my own, start something, and that was so empowering.
That's amazing. And I think that, what you just described, oftentimes when people kind of think it's on a list, or I could never do that, or that's 10 years from now, or where do I start, or it has to be all or nothing, right? And it becomes overwhelming. And I think one of the biggest things I know for me starting my own business and or even the Resale Revolution and what you've just described, it's starting somewhere, right? It's starting small and taking action every single day. And it doesn't have to be a large action, right? A huge action, but you keep continuing to steps forward. And most importantly, you make the decision to do it, right? You make the decision to keep moving forward every single day in a little way. And then it happens organically. And so that's what you just described versus this thing that needs to just be there and already kind of perfected in your head before you can actually take action. And I see a lot of that. And so I think you've just described, this wonderful, one step forward, but when you're aligned and I'm going to try it. One of the things, what would your advice be to people who don't necessarily have the luxury and or the opportunity to take a long pause? So what would your advice be for that, in order to kind of keep them moving forward in the direction of their life and creating time for pause?
Yeah, that is a really good question, because not everybody can take really long pause like that. And I think it could be a small moment in a day. Let's say you're in a work environment that you're not really a big fan of, but you go there 9 to 5, you're there. Okay, so you're there, but when you're done, when you leave the workplace, then that's your time, right? So that's how do you spend that free time? What do you do with that? So then I think during that time is when really kind of thinking about maybe writing down the values, some of the things that I went through with pause time. I did it without going to any other workplaces, but I think you can still do that incrementally. It could be a daily exercise. It could be the weekend. You can do that, because some days are just hard days and you just don't have you just don't have energy to think about anything else. But if you can think about it as, this is an investment for me, I'm going to take time for myself. If that mindset is shifted in that way, then I think it's worth every minute. It's, I kind of have to think of it as a long game.
Exactly. No, and I love how you describe that, because, I know that some people think, well, I have to take a break, right? Or I have to have 6 months or don't have the luxury. But I know for myself, and that's where, the Resoul Revolution kind of came through, was this daily ritual, right? And so even with your big change in the courage, as you just described, how do you keep it alive? How do you keep yourself grounded and centered every single day? It's a long game. It's a muscle that you continue to maintain. And so being intentional and scheduling and prioritizing yourself, right, every day, even if it's 15, 20 minutes in the morning, and maybe incremental, pauses during the day. I think it's amazing how the ahas can come. And so how do you now, that you're in your wonderful blossoming company, how do you now keep yourself grounded and centered throughout the day and keep your values alive?
That's a good question, because when this COVID-19 started, it was very unsettling, because as a business, we were getting some momentum going. I was in lots of meetings as business development. I was making new connections, and that really happens in person. And then all of a sudden that stopped, and I think I did have some hard times, to be honest. Like, I just like, what do I do if this is really uncertain? So then I realized that I was in a little panic mode. Yeah. So then I decided, okay, what did I do? What is a practice that I do to like calm my anxiety? So I did the meditation. Mm-hmm. I just started to just kind of ground myself and meditating, and really looked at, being in the moment, being present. In this situation, being present was, I am with my family. I always wish I had more time with my children. I always wish I could like play with them. Now I do. I have them with me all the time. So how do I spend my day not worrying about things that are not happening?
Right. Right. And that's, again, you bring up the very good point of being present in the moment, right? Worry, fear, and anxiety does not serve us at all, right? And then looking at every situation, what is the nugget of opportunity? What is it that I could do differently to keep myself present? And so you not only went through like a big life change, right, in terms of leaving a job, having courage, but then you've, even if you've got your perfect scenario, your job, then life's going to happen again. And what happened? We've got the pandemic. So there's more worry and fear and uncertainty. So in terms of it seems like what you're telling me is the resilience that you developed over time with these rituals, these tools, your toolbox, to remain present and to know who you are, know what you stand for, to know how worry, fear, and anxiety can be debilitating, and to find that joy, hope, passion in the moments and spending time with your family. So it's really cool to hear your process on how you manage through that effectively.
Yes, that's exactly right. And also in terms of work, I just want to share this story, because when all the work stopped coming and I was worried, how am I gonna go through the next, who knows how many more months do I have to kind of survive. And at the time, there was this World Health Organization did a call out, the general call out to creatives. Hey, you guys, we need help create the message about COVID-19 and in a creative way. It could be pictures, it could be videos. And then when that call out, that something happened in my brain is that this is one of the missions of my company, is telling the information. It's like, it's not making money anymore. It's like, I have a duty to make this public announcement for the world, for everybody, for us. So then so we created a couple of things about how to do a social distancing, like the 6 feet long, some fun video about that. And we created another hand washing video, like how to properly hand wash. And I asked our friends and family, really, like I gave them an instruction of this is how you use your iPhone to like film yourself with how to wash hands. We kind of put it together and we can do this. I mean, even just working on that, I wasn't getting paid. It was not, it was a different purpose.
Yeah.
We talk about purpose a lot. It was more than the purpose was bigger than my own sphere. It was for us, for everybody. And that really gave me another kind of a moment where this is why I'm doing this.
I love it. And it's like you've taken the thread of everything that you've ever done and leveraged and an opportunity to give back. There's something bigger, right? How do you want to contribute to this world? And that sounds like, I mean, you were just driven by it, right? And you just trusted the process. And although you weren't getting paid at the time, look how your business is now suddenly adapted, right? To, and being creative around what do people need now? Right? And how do we educate people now? And then how do we adapt technology, right? And video production now? And you're, blossoming again, right? And so it's trusting that process. And I just really appreciate you sharing that story around not wavering. You can still be in kind of fear, but how to shift that fear into courage and shift your energy into actually taking action versus being paralyzed.
Yes, really, yes. And I really want to say that it's like the muscle that you mentioned, like the retool, like having those things that I can do, exercise, meditate in the toolbox. I can pull that out and reuse it. And also, it's funny, I was sharing this with my friend too. I mean, to be honest, I'm a human. I have bad moments. I have moments with anxiety, but the having the anxious moment is shorter, right? Like I think I can say, oh, that's a good progress, because I used to be like anxious for like days, but now so the fact that I recognized it, second that I had a tool to use it to kind of shift my mindset, and being able to like calm myself down and be present.
That's amazing. And to like sum up everything that you've just said, it's this idea of self-awareness, right? And when you have self-awareness, then you can interrupt that trigger, right? To take a different action to get a different result. I mean, literally that's the basis of what this work is, right? And as you acknowledged, it's not that, and I remember one of the things that was a big aha for me, it's not that when you feel great one day, it's like, oh, I'm fixed. We're remembering that we're human beings and that we all are going to experience fear, worry, and anxiety. And the strength is how quickly you get back to center. So you have your toolbox. And so I think that's a really great message that you just gave to like, it's okay. We're all going to experience fear, worry, but your toolbox and that muscle, the resilience that you've built, it helps you resurge and resoul every day. Right? And that is the resoul revolution. So I just love absolutely hearing your story and having the courage and the vulnerability to share, and that you can be this inspiration for others, women with families, women with kids, women who have been in the work environment who think they need to kind of climb the ladder and get ahead. And so it's less about, it's honoring yourself and your values and what's important, and pausing and reflecting and building those muscles to have everything now in terms of you're always evolving and adapting, but your work and your career and giving back and your family, you've created. And I really am so proud of you for taking being intentional and doing the work. So thank you so much for sharing your story and being the first interview of the Resoul Revolution, because I've thought of you all the time as this perfect spokesperson to be able to share the transformation that you experienced.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure, and I love you because you are the reason why this Resole Revolution starts with you. So I can't wait to see and hear more of other inspiring stories. And I mean, I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Rachel. Rachel to Rachel.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making you've helped me being a reflection for me, and you've helped build this Resole Revolution through your story. So thank you.
Yes. Great.
Please reach out to me if you have a story to share. We'd love to hear from you and how you created change in yourself and developed resilience, purpose, and confidence. You can inspire others to resole, resurge, to shine, and thrive. You can reach out to me at rachel@facetscoaching.com or go to theresolerevolution.com. You can also subscribe to the Resole Revolution on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube to hear more interviews with real people and real stories of resurgence. By listening, you're contributing to the movement, the Resole Revolution.